Hello everyone, welcome to the Escape Pod. My name is Sal.
My name's Josiah.
And mine's Nathan.
And we are here to talk about the most feel-good, long-lasting film series I could think of. It's not Mission Impossible.
I was about to say, I was like, there's a few others.
Oh, well, you know, Dragonheart ran longer. Oh, spoil Dragonheart.
It's Dragonheart.
Dragonheart.
Put in the version of the music that's not copyrighted. There you go.
And that was enough. So yeah, we watched Dragonheart. All 5 films that are out at the time of this recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think we're safe for another 2 or 3 years for the next one because they take about 2 or 3 years now to have them.
They greenlit the next one through Netflix partially again.
Yeah.
But I think this is kind of a fluke. I think Nathan and I were hanging out and then we were going through the movie list and I saw Dragonheart and I've had an interesting relationship with every time I watched the first Dragonheart, I felt completely differently. And so we were like there and I'm like, Nathan, have you seen Dragonheart? It's an 80s classic fantasy, and you're like, no, I've never seen this. And I'm like, well, they have all the movies on Netflix if you want to do this.
And I was kind of like, I've heard the original is not great, and how many of these are direct-to-video sequel prequels? Oh, boy.
4. Yeah. But just a little context, each time I watched the first Dragonheart, the first time I watched it, I thought it was okay, right? And the second time I watched it, I thought it was crap. And the third time I watched it, for this retrospective, I was like, that's actually pretty good. That's a pretty good film, you know?
And you hadn't seen anything about it.
I hadn't seen anything.
I mean, you knew it was a thing, though, right?
I knew it was a thing. I didn't know. I thought it was like one movie and then like a bunch of like really cheap ones like shortly after.
No, that is not the case.
And so I have an interesting relationship with Dragonheart where I never saw it as a kid.
That's right.
But what I did see as a kid a lot was the trailer for the second film.
Yeah.
Which I thought was the only film.
Yeah.
And I always remember in the trailer him screaming, "I will have that hot tonight!" Like, and that's all, and that's like from the trailer, and that's all I knew about it. I think I had the VHS, and maybe I had seen it when I was like a fucking child, but never actually watched it. But that trailer, man,
Well, another thing that threw you off is the only movie that has a number in the title is Dragonheart 3, aka the first prequel.
Yeah.
Which is so bizarre
that's
to me.
So I always thought Dragonheart 2 was the only Dragonheart movie, and then you're like, hey, there's 5?
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
And each time you were trying to figure out, obviously it was just the first 2, but like, I'm trying to figure out which one I was vaguely familiar with, and it wasn't the first one.
And the second one.
And then you got to the second one, and then you got to, I will have that heart tonight, and it triggered that
I
memory.
literally had like a fucking like it was like Ratatouille where he tastes it.
I just watched Ratatouille.
And it brings him back.
That's good.
And that was me, but it was back to like my room in South Carolina and my shitty CRT TV at the end of my bed, and I was like,
Yeah, so Dragonheart is a funny thing. We'll go through it and talk more in depth, but the funny thing that I realized, it was around when I got to the third movie, when I was like, you know, I am in. Like, I am in for this world. Like, this concept of the Dragonheart itself is so good to set up different types of stories.
Yeah. You literally turned to me and was like, I think something horrifying has happened. I think I'm becoming a Dragonheart fan.
Yeah.
Like,
because I used to blow it off as just like one of those 80s fantasy films that you kind of forget about.
Yeah.
Like the second Conan movie. And it's like, oh, God. Conan the Destroyer.
That's a retrospective. Hit like and subscribe if you want that one.
Well, we have that Forgotten Fantasy folder still that I forgot which is which now.
Oh, fuck. That's
so
even
now
better.
we will have to go through and figure out which is which.
because you specially labeled them so that
For context.
Some of them are numbered and some of them are lettered.
For context, Josiah and I constructed a playlist to meme both Nathan and ourselves in which it's a folder of films that are shitty fantasy films.
Yeah.
But
there's a folder that is all the Hercules films released in 2014, which is 3.
it's 3, and 2 of them star WWE superstars.
Yep.
I'll have you know.
Yeah. So that was going to be a random coin flip there.
But all the films in the folder are not labeled as the movie. It's labeled like A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3,
A7.
Yeah.
So, like just random stuff that technically has a meaning, but I've forgotten what those meanings are. So it'll be fun.
That's great.
So it's a cuck.
It's still on my hard drive. So, Dragonheart's not on that.
But we didn't get cucked because we watched Dragonheart.
Yeah. So
let's start from the tippy top.
Let's basically just lay out the main premise for what Dragonheart is, starting with the first movie.
Okay. So in the first film, and because the premise kind of like shifts a bit over time.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Because some aspects fall away while others become more prevalent.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's I feel like Dragonheart, it feels a lot to me like a thing we know a lot about. The Slenderverse. Where here's a core concept.
Sure.
And we're seeing different people's take on this core idea of like, this is a thing, boom, 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 go.
Well, it's funny because what was so weird was when we were watching 3 through 5. Each movie had a very distinctive tone and plot style to it. But
really
then we found out
cool.
it was all written by the same guy.
But all directed by different people.
Yeah.
It felt very much like Star Wars.
Yeah, different directors brought out different things from the one writer's vision. So.
It's almost like if you have a writer constructing everything and plotting it out, but you let different directors have their little takes on it.
That's how it should be.
That's how you should do things.
That's how you should do it.
Weird how Dragonheart, the direct-to-video prequel trilogy, is more coherent.
I mean, the Dragonheart series is percentage-wise more consistent than a lot of major Hollywood.
And better.
I mean, I was gonna leave that open, but yeah.
No, I'll close that. That's better.
But Dragonheart 1...
So if you were to ask me, do you want to watch Dragonheart 2 or The Last Jedi, I would pick Dragonheart 2 every damn time.
Well, yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
Dragonheart 2 doesn't ruin the Dragonheart series.
No.
It's just... Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
But the premise of Dragonheart is basically it takes place in a medieval world. It's in Britain.
Mostly.
Well, yes, we'll get to that. But the first movie takes place in Britain, and it's hundreds of years after the time of King Arthur.
Yeah.
So there's this legacy of and lineage of knighthood, the Knight of the Old Code.
The Old Code.
And in this kind of continuity, this version, this spin on it, the dragons were instrumental to... Okay, so this is what the prequels make confusing. I know I said we're just gonna...
I agree.
So the prequels make it confusing because in the first movie they implied the dragons were around at the time of King Arthur.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then in the prequels, that might be the case.
Yeah.
But then that line of dragons all died and a new line came in the events of the third film.
I think that's what it is.
Well, it's this weird thing. If you dig deep enough, I will bet you it was some sort of like producer call to call Dragonheart 3 Dragonheart 3.
It's entirely to get money because if you just call it Dragonheart, random title, people go, oh, it doesn't matter. It's a direct-to-video.
Yeah. So it feels like around movie 4 is when they straight up go, no, this is a reboot. This isn't going to tie directly into that Dragonheart because we want to make our own dragon.
I mean, it's true, but they could still it still exists until proven otherwise that it is a prequel to the original.
Yeah.
I'd say it is. I think they're getting to that point.
Because tonally it is very different. Tonally it is different, but I would say that the continuity in the music and stuff like that seems very consistent.
To jump a bit.
Yeah.
To 5, where the premise is, okay, so in 4, the dragon had eggs. And then those 7 dragon eggs went off to different places, and now we're seeing one of those dragons.
Yeah.
So from there,
it's a good setup for the rest of the series.
You basically have 6 more films you can do at 6 different dragons.
And those dragons can have kids too.
Yeah,
because where the fuck did Griffin come from?
We'll find out.
Because if you go on the wiki and it's in the special features, they list the names of all the dragons, and one of them's Draco from the first movie. But
do they really?
Yeah, well, because it's that one shot in the 4th movie where there's the line of all the portraits of dragons on the wall, and Griffin is not one of them, and he's from the Far East, so whoever the dragon went to the Far East, he's presumably that one's kid.
All right,
if you want to, But anyway, the first so
a lot of lore here.
No, there's a lot of lore. But the initial film, so it's this time after the age of King Arthur. We're kind of in a dark age where warlords rule and the great castles are abandoned to make like basic wooden fortresses. And this is something the book hits far more on directly.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. So the first Dragonheart film has a book written by the screenwriter.
Yeah, and
I got it for you for your birthday.
You did, thank you.
It came late because of coronavirus, but
you know how it is.
It came in eventually.
But the whole thing is the book basically contains all the scenes that are missing from the first movie.
Which sounds great.
Yeah, because the first movie, as much as I like it, it definitely has the feeling of, oh, we got to get this like to an hour 45.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
We can't have this be
Yeah.
over 2 hours. And it's like, but this is an epic story about fantasy and King Arthur and dragons. Like, can't you maybe bump it to like a 2 hours, 5 minutes, maybe? And it's like, oh,
Just put in like 2 or 3 more scenes.
yeah, like there's a lot of material, especially regarding like the backstory of Draco and the warlord at the start of
Yeah.
the first Dragonheart.
Yeah.
Because he's just sort of like generic Macbeth, I want to kill.
Yeah. And so the cool thing is that the themes of Dragonheart are all about like what is true knighthood.
Yeah.
The third movie also hits. Well, yeah, the third movie also hits on this, where it's all about like, so if the establishment says that you were a knight and you have honor, but do you feel you have honor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's really cool.
that's
yeah.
a big theme that kind of goes through almost all the movies in a way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our protagonists are not. In fact, pretty much all of our protagonists, aside from 2, are not good people. At least when we start the story with them, they're kind of corrupt in some way or a little asshole-ish.
Okay. Because 3's protagonist is pretty nice.
No, he's trying to become a part of a member of corrupt knights, so he's not poor anymore.
That's true.
That's not exactly like a righteous thing.
But
to do.
he won't be evil to the people.
But he still answers to the guy in
That's fair.
charge. So I would say 5 is like the first time where he is seeking vengeance, so he is morally in the right, but then he becomes more clouded by vengeance.
Yeah.
But I would say every
Dragonheart Vengeance.
Dragonheart Vengeance, yes. But every movie aside from 2, because that kid was kind of just bland.
He was just a putz that wants to be famous.
He just wanted to be famous.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Like
yeah,
there's 2 or 3 scenes with him and Drake.
Yeah.
Is the
second movie is
dragon.
Drake.
Is when it's like, we'll be even better than Bowen and Draco. And it's like,
We're gonna get to that. But could
Very soon.
Could one of you outline kind of the lore around what the Dragonheart means as far as
So essentially,
title?
there's like this constellation in the stars called
Drago.
Drago.
Yes, Drago. Yes.
Yeah, just drop the N off dragon, it's cleaner.
Yes. Yeah.
And essentially, it is dragon heaven.
Yeah.
And if you are good enough in your life, you get to earn a place in dragon heaven. If you're not, too bad. And basically, the dragons are aliens, and they come from space. And their space rocks land into Earth, and then they get birthed into dragons.
But we don't really know the alien thing till 3.
Yes.
Beforehand, it's much more metaphysical.
Yeah.
Then 3 is like, no, it's an alien.
Well, yes, but it is like a spiritual thing.
Right.
I mean, I know the whole idea is like if it's so advanced science that it becomes magic, but
Yes.
they do still treat it with like the reverence of a heaven.
But the idea
But
about
they can physically come to Earth from the dragon realm.
Yeah, so the idea
whatever
about the
that is.
dragon heart specifically is that one of the things that a dragon can do to earn their place in dragon heaven is that they can share their heart with a human, and then with that heart, the person will feel their pain and suffering, but also their strengths and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they'll be like immune to things, yeah.
We'll talk about what the limits of the dragon
Because there are limits.
Because there are limits to it.
But the idea is that like if a human is dying,
Mhm.
and you want to prove yourself be a noble dragon, you share half your heart with the human. So the human can live, and then if you do a good job, you earn dragon heaven.
And if I'm not mistaken, as far as what all the movies present to us, you have to be wounded before you can receive the dragon heart.
Yeah, you can't just get it.
I don't think you can just get it.
Yeah, everyone that gets the dragon heart was wounded.
I think you can.
I don't know.
But I don't.
But why would you?
Why would you?
Why would you?
Because the idea.
Because you become a god.
What's in it for the dragon?
Yeah, for the dragon. For the dragon, it's like, okay.
The moral reasoning why.
I gave a perfectly healthy human half my heart.
No, I get it, because it's doing a good deed for someone who is a lesser quote-unquote
Because
species.
it's a sacrifice.
It is a sacrifice.
Which I think 4 does a good job of showing like the sacrifice of the dragon heart.
I agree.
And like what it takes and gives.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of ways, because in 4, we have a character who is bonded with a dragon, and the dragon dies in a storm, and the human dies because they're bonded, and it's like, oh shit,
Oh yeah,
that's fucky.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to 4.
We'll get to it. But starting with the first movie, we have a basic premise of there's a warlord, and he has this son, and he's right teetering on the edge of being like a selfish Joffrey asshole or being a good person because his mentor is Bowen,
We have that cool opening scene where they're training.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get that scene
Him and
where they're
Bowen.
training.
It feels very much like the rocks that were at the fight scene in Princess Bride.
It is similar to that area.
I got that vibe.
Yeah.
I also got a kind of Count of Monte Cristo vibe. I don't know. A little bit.
Yeah, Count of Monte Cristo is very good. But Dennis Quaid is Bowen.
Dennis Quaid. This casting is interesting.
Yeah.
He's good about
60?
70. I'll go 70% of the time.
I'll go 60.
I'll go 60.
The rest of the time.
You know what? 65.
Yeah,
There we go.
I'll say 65.
A good D+. Actually, no, that's a solid D.
No. Well,
That's an F in South Carolina. I don't know.
Hey, listen, it's not the American grading system. We go percentage like 50% or lower is a fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. We're fair.
Dennis Quaid in this movie is very interesting because the problem is that for this first ironically, for the only theatrically released Dragonheart movie, a lot of the actors don't really give a shit.
No.
Like a lot of the actors are kind of playing it. Like Dennis Quaid and I forgot the guy's name, the villain. Einar.
No.
Einar is Lupin.
Lupin from
He plays
Harry
Lupin.
We're gonna cut this out. But anyway, these two guys are camping it up.
Yes.
Because to them, it's a silly 80s fantasy movie.
Yeah.
And then when you get to, like, all the subsequent, like, especially in the prequels, everyone's so reverential of the Dragonheart franchise. Yeah. And they're trying to, like, give very compelling performances, like, to give legitimacy. And in this movie, Dennis Quaid, like, when the scene is emotionally interesting, he is very invested. Like, a lot of his relationship with Einar being his mentor, and a lot of his comedy scenes with Draco are quite good. Mm-hmm. But there's other scenes where he is just having a ball being a cheesy bag.
And he's just like, he's got this.
I don't know you anything, Dragon.
Yeah,
that's
this
like
weird uber gruff voice. I will also say, Sean Connery gives a good performance, but
he is great.
He is a not great CGI.
It was 1996.
David Thewlis.
Thank you.
And Jason Isaacs is in this movie.
And Jason Isaacs
boy.
is in it, yes. But
I already want to rewatch Dragonheart 1.
I felt,
with context of the whole series.
Yeah, I feel that.
No. I definitely wanted to go back before we did this recording, but I guess I'll just have to do it after.
Yeah.
Because I was reading the book. But Sean Connery is so good in this movie.
He's really good.
Always.
The
CG isn't like great, but it's also 1996, and so
for the year it's okay.
For the year, it's okay. I mean, beforehand, our most advanced special effects were the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, and they didn't have to talk. They didn't have to be like human.
They didn't have like emotional scenes of like delivering lines.
That's true.
So the fact that they went this far is very ambitious, and I'm not going to say that ambition always means that we should validate something, but I don't think it's like terrible, especially compared to 2. When you see 2, which was made 4 years later, it is something else. But so the basic premise is we have this warlord, his son Einar, Bowen's training him. The warlord goes to crush some peasants, and Bowen is trying to remind Einar,
be a good person.
Be a good person. Remember the old code, like your dad, you can be a better king than your father. Mm-hmm. In the scuffle, the warlord dies.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good scuffle though, because he goes into the town and he's like, I'm just burning shit, and then he gets really deep in there, and then they all just come out.
They swarm him,
and he's like, huh.
He's like, oh wow, where are my guys? Oh fuck.
And you can say like budgetarily, like this is not very impressive action, but I would argue that in the real life Dark Ages, armies were only like 50 people a lot of the time. You know?
They were. No, I think film has definitely blown up proportions of what armies are. Because if you ever see like actual troop movement of those eras and like the actual like statistics of the armies, they weren't.
Oh yeah, it was like a dozen mounted knights for every like 100 peasant foot soldiers.
And by the time they all marched there and died of whatever and food shortages and desertions, like come on.
So I quite like how the irony of this, and again like this theme about like the forgotten age of King Arthur, and this like really bad warlord just gets mobbed by some peasants and crushed and killed.
Yeah,
it's very anticlimactic in a good way.
So, and that it sets a tone for Dragonheart as a series.
Yeah,
it really does.
Because they do not care about who dies, how they die.
Yeah.
It always feels like there's a good reason why there is a subversion like this.
Because then Einon goes down to protect his father, and then he gets there and his father's being like ganked.
He's
and
basically dead.
And then he goes over to the body and like grabs the crown.
Yeah.
And is like Gollum with the fucking ring.
It's my time now.
Yeah, because the king rises up to gravity and he's like, no, it's mine!
Die, it's mine!
It's really funny.
And then he's walking around with it, and then like some chick like falls out of a building, hits Einon, and he stumbles back and gets fucking impaled.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god!
Now in the book and in the original script, this was a little different, where what happens is that I forget if it's, I have to check this, but it's the warlord sword that gets knocked into the mud when he gets dehorsed.
Right.
And she stabs Einar with that.
Oh.
And so then him having the sword after that is like a significant thing.
Okay.
So it's a little different, but they did like the whole, I always like that in movies when people get shoved against a wall and there's a spike there. He died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's severely wounded, and Bowen resists killing this redhead chick who almost destroyed him because, you know, he's a good person.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like crushing the peasants.
And it's a kid.
Yeah, it's a kid.
So the same age as Einon is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he brings him back to the castle, and the queen is like, okay, the king is dead. My son's dying. Now, I happen to know about this thing.
We had some interesting... Now, this is when lore gets weird for me, personally.
Right, sure. Yeah.
Because, like, so the queen brings the prince down to this cave, and, like, they basically meet the dragon.
Yeah.
And, like, the way they speak as if, like, the queen has history with the dragon.
Yeah.
But it also feels like dragons have been, like, gone for a long time.
In the book, they basically say something like, the queen's family used to be, like, magicians. They used to be really tied to the dragons, and then the warlord wiped out all of her tribe and took her as his queen.
Interesting.
And so she's one of the only people who is on good terms with the dragons, because humans, especially under this warlord, have been killing all the dragons.
Interesting.
So it's kind of like this last-ditch effort of, okay, now that he's out of the way, I'm going to pull in this favor because my family is on good terms. And so... She doesn't, and this is another weird thing, is in the this is probably the only continuity thing, is like in the prequels, I feel like more people have like more noblemen have like a general knowledge of what the Dragonheart is.
They do, yeah.
And in this movie, I guess it's been like the degeneration of culture and relations with the dragons, but she's like, please, you know, whatever you can do to save him. And then Sean Connery as Draco is like, you know, he's weak like his father, and she's like, your heart and you know, your bonding to you will make him stronger, make him a better person. And Bowen, of course, hates dragons and is like, if I don't trust this.
I think what has to happen is that, because when I was watching Dragonheart 1 without knowing anything about the prequels or anything else, it felt like something really bad had happened, and like it's sort of like how in Star Wars, how like, oh, the Jedis have been that ancient religion. Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
The dragons are the Jedi, and it's like, we pretty much killed them all, but now we really need them. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And like all the lore and mystery about them are it's like destroyed and gone, and we don't know what they do anymore, and like...
And that's what I like about the first one, is that there's so much mysticism about like Dragon Heaven and the legacy of King Arthur and all these other dragons.
And I also feel like maybe even, you know, because it is voiced by Sean Connery, he's a bit like older, more regal. I feel like he's been around for a long time and hasn't shared his heart with anybody. It's been generations. Yeah. Because like of whatever we'll see in that final Dragonheart movie.
Right.
And but I do feel like at the same time, to draw an allegory, I feel like Dragonheart will go the way of Scorpion King. Or like, we'll never get like Matthias getting evil.
I disagree.
Like, we'll never get the movie where like...
But the difference is that the Scorpion King puts him in limbo and nothing changes, whereas in Dragonheart there's new characters and they seem to be willing to do more interesting variations of the formula.
But will they ever get to the point where they're done and do the... Okay, here's why by the first movie dragons are forgotten and blah blah.
It depends on if they will bite the bullet and remake Dragonheart under their production company, because I feel like they have a lot of love for it.
Yeah,
so if they want to just make the last movie before, I think they'd be willing to do that. I mean, they seem to have some kind of plan. I mean, we'll talk about when we get to 5, but I feel like they are building to some kind of big confrontation
They're
between all the dragons.
They're waiting to lure Sean Connery back out of retirement, and he's like,
I mean, he did it for that one animated movie.
They got it.
Please, just
They
be
gotta
Draco
hurry
again.
up. They gotta hurry up. The man's like 80.
They gotta.
But yeah, and so against some people's suggestions, he gets half of Draco's heart, and it heals him.
And there's this great scene when it's either like when he's wounded and they're taking him to the castle and they're taking him to Draco, where Bowen is just like, tell me the code, and he's like feeding him the lines for him to speak back, and it's like, oh, maybe he can be good if they,
Because Einon's a little shit.
He's
but
a
like,
little shit.
but like being trained by Bowen, you're like, maybe he'll be good, and he knows the old code.
Yeah.
And then what happens is when Einon gets back so in the cave, Bowen's like, I pledge to serve you, dragon, and because you did this
he makes
great
an oath. Yeah.
And then when they get back, Einon's like fucked up, and he's like building this big thing, like this castle.
He's building like a greater fortress,
and he's enslaved all these people that were revolting to like work for him. And he wants them to build this big, great castle. And Bowen's like, "This isn't right. No, you're not. You're not really an asshole. The Dragonheart must have cursed you and made you evil.
Yeah.
Dragons are evil."
Yeah, because the last thing Draco says to him before he leaves the cave is just make sure he remembers his oath. Because Einon swore to uphold the old code and not be like his father.
Yeah.
Surprise.
And yeah, so Bowen assumes that the Dragonheart has cursed him, or that since dragons are evil, because to his mind they are. Otherwise, why did we kill them? To him, he's like, well, the dragon's probably like bitter and is corrupting him or something. And yeah, Einon's basically, I'm going to do what my dad did, but bigger. And Bowen has this scene where he says, no one is above the code.
Not even the king.
Not even the king. But in response to Einon saying, like, I am the king, I am therefore above everyone else.
Yeah.
And so things get hairy. He tries to execute Kara, who is the person who injured him. He tries to kill her. Well, he doesn't want to kill her father. He wants to blind him.
Yeah.
Because to him, death is a release.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because he like clung to life. So I feel like that's an interesting thing you can look into as far as that goes.
Yeah. Because you find out that the redhead chick who accidentally bumped into Einon and stuff is the daughter of the guy who led the revolution.
Yes. Yeah, she's the daughter of him. Yeah.
Which is why when we cut to the future, everyone kind of shuns her as being like your father's reason why we're all fucking slaves. Mm-hmm. Like, you suck.
And over the course of this time skip, Bowen becomes extremely cynical. He is only holding on to the old code by not having anything else.
Yeah. And interestingly, he's hunting dragons.
Yeah, he's gone from being a dragon racist to a straight up dragon killer.
Well, he goes into the cave again and says, I break my oath and make a new one, I will kill every dragon.
Yeah.
And in the book, this is where there's like, this is one of the things about the movie as I was watching it that I'm like, this is like weird, is the fact that if you were promising to kill a dragon, wouldn't you vividly remember exactly what he sounded like? Yes. I don't care if like how much time passes. It's like 12 years.
12 years.
I
know because there's a title saying 12 years, and then 5 minutes later, Kara's like, "It's been 12 years, Dad."
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. I wonder if it's been 12 years.
Yeah.
I want you to take that.
I
put it
back
right here at the forefront of your mind.
The forefront of your head.
The forefront of your head. But there is this thing where he doesn't. So eventually, Bowen's gonna run into Draco again.
Yeah. What?
And he doesn't recognize his voice.
Shut the fuck up.
And it's Sir Sean
No,
Connery.
I'm just saying, like, he doesn't. And then I was reading the book, and there's this whole plot about how in the cave the dragon showed how his middle claw had been taken off by the warlord. Mm. And there's this whole plot.
What the fuck?
There's this whole plot. You know how his shield has the claws sticking out? That's one for every dragon he's killed, but they don't say that in the movie. They cut that shit.
Fuck?
They cut that shit. So there's this bit where the talon is like fucked up. So there's a scene where Bowen goes back and Draco like knocks the claw off. Like he basically breaks it off. And then Bowen finds the claw, and that's the first one he puts in the middle of his shield. And he's like, that one is a lie, but every other one is a kill. But this one eventually will not be a lie because I will kill this dragon. So it's much more about him trying to find like the distinguishing marks on him rather than identifying him by voice, which made so much more sense when it's like, oh, I don't know if I've killed it already or if it's gone already, and it's...
But then when he's traveling with him and like not actively hunting him, like does it just grow back and he doesn't know?
It's not that it grows back. It's just because how the way the movie's edited. It's a much weirder thing where there's a period where it's like, I don't know if Bowen knows or not.
Yeah.
Like, is he just pretending he doesn't know?
Yeah.
It's again, like, the movie kind of suffers a little bit from a lot of these scenes being taken out that really kind of make you understand Bowen's mindset in the hunt a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then Bowen kills a dragon kind of off screen, and there's a priest watching him.
Yeah.
And
and it's that great actor whose name I don't know.
Peter.
I have IMDb up. Don't worry, guys. It's okay.
Pete.
You won't pronounce his last name.
Oh, it's Postlethwaite.
Yeah, Postlethwaite.
But it's Gilbert. Brother Gilbert.
Yeah, Brother Gilbert.
Gilbert.
But he's like composing ballads.
I love him.
Yeah, he's really funny, and
he's like Paul Bettany in A Knight's Tale.
That's exactly what Paul Bettany's character was based on.
Yeah.
I know he's based on Chaucer, like he's the Chaucer character, but that's completely the role that he is.
I would love Paul Bettany in Dragonheart 7.
Yeah, no, I'll take it.
Give it time.
I'll take it. And so in the movie, the dragon that he kills kind of off screen is mentioned as being female later.
Yeah.
But in the book, this thing's called the Old One, and it's like this scarred,
I'm sorry, what the fuck?
pale, like unable to fly, sickly, thin dragon that has basically been eating like hay and whatever cattle it can find, but it's like lasted for so many generations, and then so that's not in the movie. In the movie they make it more apparent that Draco is like, yeah, that was basically my last chance to reproduce with the dragons. So they kind of made it more tragic because Bowen killed the last female dragon available.
Yeah. Luckily he had that secret.
We'll get to that. But so this is where Gilbert and Bowen meet up, and of course it's the whole, I don't want you to come with me. You're just gonna get in my way, and then I'm gonna compose ballads of your greatness.
Yeah.
And this whole time, Einan and Jason Isaacs are just fucking everything up, and they go back to. They eventually did catch the leader of the rebellion and did blind him
off screen. After him being saved from it on screen.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
And then Kara shows up to. You can say bad. And then Kara shows up to like give him water, and then that's when Einan sees her again. Trigger warning flashes back to when she almost killed him, and but he's very intrigued by her because she keeps walking towards him while he's shooting arrows around her father.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh my fucking god!"
I mean, she's very beautiful.
Feisty redhead.
The feisty redheads are a very, very
it's a good trope.
It's a good trope that Dragonheart goes back to again and again, except in part 2. But anyway, we'll get to that.
That's why it's bad.
Well, that's not.
And I would say 4 and 5.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
There's a redhead in 4.
Yeah, for one scene.
Okay,
there's a redhead in 5.
It's the same one as in 3, though.
Well, yeah. But anyway,
isn't the fire chick red? She got like auburn. You know, there's a little.
It's close. It's close. But anyway, and so we have these two kind of simultaneous plots going on, until Bowen. Now remind me how this happens. He finds Draco in the waterfall.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But he's not in the waterfall. He's shapeshifted into the rocks.
He's a rock next to it. Yes.
Now,
so this is where it's like weird. Like so go ahead. Yeah.
I love the shapeshifting in Dragonheart because they don't fucking directly address it really until like 5.
Yeah.
They don't know.
No, they don't. They don't.
They don't directly talk about it.
No, they don't.
In 2, he kind of says like, it's fine, I'll like hide or something, but
they don't like say, oh, dragons can shapeshift into rocks.
Yes.
Yeah. They wait till 5, like 20 years later.
Yeah.
No, like 24 years later.
Well, I will say we see Drake like surprised that he accidentally like turned into rocks. Like we see that happen. But they don't say until 5 that they can turn into water, which makes the first 2 much more clear because it's like
because there was that bit where you pointed out and I was like, well, there's that bit where he would fall into the water and then fly underneath the water and then escape.
Yeah.
So I assumed he was turning into partial water so nobody saw him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's I think what 5 is bringing back.
5's good.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But
This was like a seminar where Josiah's telling us about Dragonheart.
No, go ahead. You take it. So go into it from the point like where these. I forget when Kara's plotline intersects with Bowen's in the story.
So there's the bit where Bowen is finally confronting Draco. He's like, but he doesn't know it's Draco because that's the name.
You're a dragon.
You're a dragon. I'm gonna kill you. And then they fight forever, and it like goes back and forth between being comedic and being sad and being frustrating and being comedic.
All of our brother Gilbert's trying to follow it.
Yeah. It's great.
And then it eventually leads to a point where he's like, "I'm gonna kill you," and then he's like, "I am the last one," and I'm like, "That's the meme. That's the movie right there."
And he's like stuck in his mouth for like hours because he's stabbed up into the roof of his mouth, and then he's like, but I'll bite down and kill you, then I'll stab you in the brain, then I'll."
That's in the film with me.
Yeah,
they're in the fight in the stalemate where they were like, "I could kill if I stabbed up, then I just bite down on you, and we'd both be dead."
Yeah, that was a very good comedic because I've seen that scene done before.
And there's just the time cut to like they've been here for hours.
Brother Gilbert's trying to like compose some verse about they stayed locked in combat overnight, and it's like, oh, okay.
And then he falls asleep.
Then he falls asleep. Yeah.
But I don't know exactly how they come to this decision, but they're like, we're gonna con them.
So they basically talk about their differences and why they're doing the things they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And about like, oh, well, if you want money, you can earn way more money without killing me.
He basically says, "What happens when you kill me? You will have nothing left. You will have no purpose in life. You will make no money." Like, so it's a very thing where they make an alliance, and then Bowen's kind of like begrudging about it, but he's like, "You make sense. You make a good point."
And the idea, so basically, this becomes like a con movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or the con is
Bowen.
So the dragon. Draco.
The constellation is Draco.
God, I hate this so much.
Yeah. And this is where we introduce. I think is it this movie where Draco is like, you couldn't pronounce my real name, and then
yes,
he's like, I'll call you Draco. And it's like, that's like my god, so that's really flattering. And it's like,
yeah.
And then basically the con is Draco will come down to a town or a village, blow like one thing up.
Yeah, very small
and
amount.
go raw. And everyone go, oh, and then Bowen's in town. He's like, I see you need a dragon hunter.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yes, we do. Can you kill a dragon? He's like, yes, I can. And then the con becomes a meme on The Hobbit, where
he fires a big bolt into him and he goes, oh, and then spirals down epically.
Like he grabs it and sticks it
under his arm, and it falls into the water. And then they're all like, hey, you did it. And he's like, yes, I killed the dragon. But in the books, the con's more complicated, isn't it? Because it switches up, doesn't it?
I don't remember.
I read a thing. Jesus, you're the book guy.
No. I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about.
How in the book sometimes they'll switch roles.
Yes.
So Bowen will be attacking a town, and then Draco comes and stops him.
He can talk about it, can he?
No.
You're not there yet.
No.
Oh, I know you're like almost done with it.
No, I'm like halfway.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've been deceived.
No, I said I wasn't done with it. No,
I could, yes.
Can you cut this?
But
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's funny.
But anyway, this is a very charming section. Like there was that section where he hits him with the bolt, and then he falls into the lake. But the lake is a pond.
Oh,
that's so fucking funny.
So he's like, I can't get out of here.
He's like trying to swim out to deeper water to like thrash around.
And this is when he's trying to cuck Jason Isaacs, right?
No.
Because
that works.
Because the Jason Isaacs one works.
It's when so you're missing some steps here. So that's deeper into the movie.
That is the con unraveling is deeper, but I don't remember the connective tissue.
So the idea is that they're conning, and then like Kara, I think is her name, right?
Yeah.
Is like, no, we must stand up to the king. He's evil. Mm-hmm. And this one guy's like, shut the fuck up. Like, your father tried this. We all got fucking memed. I just got out of the fucking quarry. I was there for 12. I just got out.
Yeah.
I have a wife and kids now. I just want to raise my family and die.
Yeah.
I need you to stop.
Yeah.
She's like, no, we can do it. And then, like, Bowen comes. He's like, there's a dragon. You need me to kill your dragon. And they're like, fuck you. I got the money for that. And he's like,
Half off.
well, shit. And then she's all like, I forget why she's involved with this plot. Oh, she wants to hire him to help fight for her.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And he's like,
because he's the last knight of the old code.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then for some reason he's like no. And then somehow this turns into I forget, honestly.
Well, she finds out the ruse. And then she finds them in the middle of the con and tries to like say that he's a liar.
And then that's when he falls into the pond.
Yes.
It's everything going wrong all at the same time.
Yeah.
But then Brother Gilbert shows up. He's like,
Yeah.
no,
I'm a man of God. And
I have seen the battle. He fought this dragon. It was epic. And she's like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
And then
they all are so low on food they try to eat them.
Well, so this comes back in the 5th movie, but
it kind of
these
does.
villagers that are kind of barbaric see the dragon in the pond, dead. They go meat,
and they go to eat him.
And they go to eat him, and he's like, "Ah, don't eat me!"
Then he flies away, and then they realize, oh, the con's up. And they're like, okay, here's your money back. Meat. It's like, oh no.
And honestly, like all the while, Einan isn't really doing anything interesting. He's kind of just being a cocksucker.
It's kind of the Scar effect, where it's like, I've done everything and I'm evil as shit, but what is there to do?
It's the Scar effect.
What more can they do to me?
What more can I do to them?
I
don't think he's already done building his fortress.
Yeah.
He's just squeezing. They make a point of how can we squeeze the populace without slaughtering them?
Yeah.
So let's find ways to tax them on really ridiculous things.
Yeah.
They use the roads. We don't, so we'll tax them to use the roads. And
That's
like,
right.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's like one of Jason Isaac's trying to get promoted ideas. Where it's like
no, because it goes from I think Bowen jokes about
yeah.
He's like,
a road tax, and he's like, my lord, I think we should tax the roads.
It's a very good joke.
It's a great joke,
and it showcases how slimy they are.
Yeah,
and then over the course of this movie, there's kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, there's kind of a Bowen Kara romance. Kind of like there's some tension there, but like it doesn't really develop because the Draco.
There's as much Bowen Kara romance as there is practical shots of the dragon.
There's quite a few practical shots of the dragon. Yeah, it's merged pretty well. Like the whole scene in the mouth, that's practical.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of the tail whips.
I'm sure I'm doing just a joke, but I guess fuck me.
No.
Comedy's dead. I get it.
Yeah, no. Maybe he was saying that there was a bunch of.
No, I know. I misunderstood. It's all good.
So.
But there's the hints of that, but it doesn't really develop because the relationship between Bowen and Draco is so much more fucking compelling.
There's like the one scene when like Bowen helps her like how to use the axes.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, there's some stuff before the final battle, but that's not really anything of note. Honestly,
no.
But the more compelling side is Draco and Bowen trying to find their honor.
Yeah,
through each other in a sense,
and you get that again. I love the description from Sean Connery about it because he's like, if we don't like if we live honorable lives, the people we save live honorable lives. Like, and we prove our worth and we get to go. But like, if we don't, like, our souls just cease existing.
Yeah,
like,
there's no afterlife if you don't prove yourself.
Yeah,
that's so fucked.
Yeah, no,
that's so
really
much.
is.
That's so much worse.
But
than
somewhere
hell.
along the lines of the film, I think after some shit goes down, they escape to kind of Stonehenge.
Yeah, Stonehenge is basically, they say Stonehenge. Well, no, it's not Stonehenge.
It's not Stonehenge.
It's Avalon. That's where King Arthur is buried. And then we find out the Knights of the Round Table might be buried there too. Yeah. But in the movie we only see King Arthur, whereas in the book we see all of them.
Yeah, we get Ghost King Arthur, who's like, "Hey, uphold the code," and he's like, "Ah, shit, that's a good point."
It's a very good scene because Draco's watching Bowen commune with King Arthur.
Yeah,
and it's this very touching thing because it, we occasionally get these scenes where they kind of muse about if he's going to get into dragon heaven. It's like, I don't need this on my conscience. This is very intense.
Yeah,
because the whole point of the Dragonheart, like the whole idea of the series, is that they feel each other's pain, right?
Yeah.
So you have to kill. So, okay, this is where we can talk about. This is kind of getting into the final battle with Einan. But we have to talk about like the logistics of the Dragonheart. So you and I were trying to figure it out, Nathan, where So Einen can withstand like a huge fucking fall. And he can take punishment that would kill a person.
Yeah.
Because theoretically, Draco could take more punishment than that.
Yes, that's the idea.
So the idea is that you have the strength of a dragon's durability.
Mm-hmm.
But, which means if you kill the dragon, you just instantly kill the human because they can't take the death.
Yeah, that's
But
the
if
idea.
if you kill the person, the dragon will be hurt, but if it wouldn't be enough to kill the dragon,
No.
then it wouldn't, yes. So, but they don't explicitly tell you that.
Yeah.
You have
No.
to figure that out by the end of the
Because
movie.
in 3, the dragon dies and the person dies.
Yes.
And then...
Well, in this movie, too. Because the whole idea is that
Yeah.
he's kind of fighting...
So are we saying that if the person dies, the dragon doesn't die?
Well, I think what they
Well, that's the thing.
what they say in the first movie is that it's basically impossible to kill the person. He
Yeah.
has to kill the
He
dragon.
has to kill the dragon. Because there's this whole dramatic moment where Einen's going after Kara,
Mm-hmm.
and then to fulfill his oath to kill the dragon and to fulfill his oath to stop Einen, he has to kill Draco. And Draco lifts his chest open and says, here, like, do it. You have to. You can't hesitate. Because Kara's life is on the line, and Einen's... So in the first movie, it implies that you have to kill the dragon to kill the person.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
which-
really weird.
It's very interesting. And I know that like there's some cut stuff that probably would have explained it more, but in the movie they don't explicitly say it. So when Einen falls, I'm like, oh shit, that's why Draco's like, you have to kill me. Because if you just kill Einen, he just gets back up because he apparently has 9 lives or something.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
But Einen, it's cool because he actually remembers a lot of what Bowen taught him. And he basically reveals he was evil the whole time.
Yeah, that scene where he was like, I choked on all those vows that you taught me,
Yeah.
and like I faked being a good person. It's like, I mean, I assumed that because you're a cocksucker, but that's awful.
I would like to assume there was some good in you, but he's pretty unrepentantly evil because his dad was a cocksucker too.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole bit where, so remind me, there's that whole bit where his mom goes to kill Draco when they capture him.
That's right.
Because she hires the dragon hunters to kill Draco so
Yes.
Einen will die, because she knows.
Yeah.
And then
He's like, you hired the dragon hunters to kill the dragons that would kill me.
And then she goes into the shadows and he kind of follows her with a pole arm, but does she die?
Yes.
Yeah, she dies off screen. Yeah.
I was hoping that they would show that on screen, but I'm sure that must have been...
It's a PG film, you know?
So,
I think...
people die all the time in this movie.
No, I know, but maybe like killing an old woman. I don't know.
That's fine.
I mean, I'm fine with it, but I'm saying...
People are weird about matricide.
Yeah, they're weird about it. You know,
They are.
patricide's, it's different.
That's fine. I like Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and so there's this big epic battle where they get all the folks, they get the townsfolk together to rise up
They
against the
do.
oppressors.
Yeah, it's great.
And they got to rescue Draco, but also kill him, and it's very
It's
emotional.
very sad. But this implies... So this movie... So the next dragon, especially the prequels,
Yeah,
it feels like the dragons have a sort of reverence about them. And then in this movie, we have Bowen hunting down dragons.
yeah,
Then we have dragon hunters.
yeah. Well,
And like other people who are facing dragons. And like, in the prequel films, no one's doing that.
Well,
Again,
no, but that it's leading to that.
Yeah, something's got to happen.
Yeah.
Because the fact that they're able to run their con means that people assume dragons do just attack villages and are these monsters.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm excited for the epic that's gonna happen on Netflix.
And again, I feel like this is cyclical because, like, again, like we were talking about, it was implied that dragons existed at the time of King Arthur.
Yes.
So where did they go? And then now they have come back, and that gets shown in the prequels. This new generation of dragons.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. It's got a really good heart to it. Like the ending is pretty emotional, Gilbert composes his Ballad of Bowen's Tales,
which is great.
Yeah, Kara gets to, Einen gets brought down. She gets does she fight? She doesn't fight Jason Isaacs. She fights like the head.
Yeah, she does. No, she doesn't. She's about to fight Jason Isaacs.
Yeah.
And then the guy who was all like, no, I just got out of the quarry kills him.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I guess she doesn't get to fight anybody. But we forgot to mention
the henchman guy.
The captain of the guard,
Yes.
who was another famous 90s action actor.
Yeah, he's in the first scene where he takes Einen away from Bowen and basically calls him a babysitter.
Yeah.
And he's all for
And he's
it.
been all throughout
Yes.
the film.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, Kara couldn't kill Jason Isaacs. That's sad. But no, she's gonna fight the big fuck you guy.
Yeah.
And she kicks his ass.
And and she briefly kind of tussles with Einan, but that kind of goes away so Bowen can fight Einan.
Yeah.
Because she's kind of just like a brawler, whereas Bowen and Einan are, classically trained
because we didn't say it, but they have a fight by the waterfall that Draco lives at.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and that's kind of the scene where Bowen gets brought to his lowest point.
Yes.
Of, okay, so this guy was never going to be good. I couldn't change him at all.
Mm-hmm.
This is not Draco's fault.
Then after that's when they go to Avalon.
Yes.
Because that's the moment of like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
What's the point?
But
I'm fucked.
Despite some of those editing issues and that the fact this movie should be like 2 hours and 20 minutes, I quite like Dragonheart. It's a quite nice start to a series that, I have no idea how this continued into 5 movies, but people like this movie,
See, I think for me it was like entirely that the ending is what hooked it for me, because I'd say all throughout the movie I was like, these performances are not good, and then it's like, why does
David Thewlis doesn't give a fuck?
He does not give a fuck.
No, doesn't care.
He doesn't care, and Dennis Quaid doesn't care part of the time. So.
Yeah, and the fact that what is it? The fact that they don't have an explanation for why he doesn't recognize Draco irked me throughout.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Why he doesn't recognize Draco, and also why the girl Kara saw Bowen when she was a kid.
Yeah.
And even says, "Oh, when I was a kid, there was this great guy like this."
No, she knew it was him.
No.
That's what that scene was saying.
No, she didn't. No, what? No.
Yeah.
No.
When I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it.
That's not what I got from that.
Oh well, I have to rewatch it.
I don't remember the scene at all. So
or she's talking to him about how I know when I was a kid, there was this man I saw, this valiant knight who, did all these great things and blah blah, but he went away, and then Bowen's like, yeah, well,
No, well, he kind of smirks. He kind of smirks because he understands, and then from what I got from that, she totally knew who he was, but I
got the complete opposite of that.
That's fine.
so overall, I thought it was okay. I thought the ending was great.
It's an okay film, but it's a very intriguing mythos, and it's got some good character work in it.
It's got some cool Berserk stuff with got your main hero in black and your villain in all white, and
they did do that.
He's building Falconia,
They did do that.
He's building a ragtag band of people.
I mean, I know Mira's a big
comic.
Mira's a big fan of 80s fantasy. I mean, Lady Hawk and stuff like that. So,
80s fantasy, Lady Hawk, Hellraiser,
But then in 2000,
all these things.
In 2000 we got Dragonheart: A New Beginning.
I will have that heart tonight,
which is a direct-to-video sequel that very
Nathan. It's not that bad.
It's pretty bad.
No, it's
not.
It's.
Okay. For one thing, the fact that it is a sequel and we have this big dramatic, but he's the last dragon. That's so tragic at the end of the first movie, and then this movie just starts with he had a hidden egg, so it's fine. And it's like,
and you see Bowen, not Dennis Quaid, in a beard, like holding this giant egg. And so the opening of the movie basically outlines, he actually had some eggs that were in his cave or whatever, and it's like, what? Why is he worried about being the last one? Then?
Oh, there's this one in the east that's real bad. Oh, there's ones in the east. No, they're all gone, but there was this really bad.
That would have been fine. Sure. That would have been fine if the eggs came from the east.
Sure.
Because this is in Britain.
Yeah.
In China, we don't know what's going on over there. Like, for all we know, the dragons are all gone. But the fact that they say, no, Draco reproduced these eggs.
Well, I think... I don't know, because when Draco, in the first movie, says, I'm the last one, I'm kind of like, wait, what? Then why is there a whole profession based on hunting you guys?
Because it's the end of it. Like, they finally gotten to the end of it.
I know what they're trying to say. It just doesn't feel that way. I felt very much like just yesterday he was hunting down dragons, like no big deal. And now all of a sudden, right after killing another one, he's found the last one, like a day later.
Yeah.
It feels really weird.
Well, that's just the story.
And also, him saying he's the last one that he knows of.
Well, yes, but effectively, okay, yes, it's vague, but again, ignoring the sequel exists in the first movie because he is this mystical dragon, and he says he's the last one, so we just have to assume he is telling the truth, that he knows, and that he's and you can
assume that.
Yeah, you can assume it based on what the first movie says. The second movie then says, okay, there's dragons in the east, which I can buy. It's that he had eggs that is a plot contrivance.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So going from Jump Street, I'm already kind of like, okay, this is like what you have to do to get this direct-to-video sequel going.
Yeah.
And then Drake is his kid.
No.
And he's voiced by the Beauty and the Beast actor.
He does a good job.
He does a pretty good job.
I like him better as the Beast.
I like him better as the Beast. Well, yes, but that but so Drake is kind of just hanging around in this courtyard, and kind of nobody knows he's there.
He's not in the courtyard.
Well, it's like this. What is that? It's like an area
he's in the dungeon.
It's basically
So the cool thing about this movie is that it's in the same castle as the first film.
Right.
Yes.
It's the exact same set and everything. So in the first film, we didn't talk about it at all. But a big part of it is because Kara at one point in the first film gets captured by Einon.
Yes.
And he wants to make her his like lover or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's this cool thing where he gives her a knife and is like, "Oh, come on, fight me."
Yeah.
And whenever he stabs her, you cut to Draco. He's like, "Ah!" And you're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
And that's to kind of introduce like how the chain happens.
Yeah.
And then the queen opens up a secret thing and helps her escape.
That's right.
And so it sets up the whole underground dungeon area where a lot of the final part of the movie happens.
Well, and again, a lot of this movie is foggy, so you're gonna have to help me out. It's like, did they explicitly say who was like looking after him? Or
yeah, it was that movie's monk guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's right, because the main character, who I forgot his name, he finds.
Wait a moment.
Yeah.
Wait a moment. I got you.
Also, just to jump ahead, remember how the monk character of this movie gets drugged into being a retard, and then they get rid of that?
Yeah, that was a very bold plot point.
That was something.
That kind of reminded me of Rogue One. How like he becomes mind raped.
Oh god, yeah.
And then immediately recovers, and it's like, I thought that was supposed to be some traumatic event, but it's like, no, he's just fine.
Yeah.
It's something else. But the interesting thing with this movie is that in the second Dragonheart film, we immediately do, what if we brought in, like, kung fu shit?
Yeah.
What if we brought in Asian mystics who know kung fu?
Man, I'm just trying to find the main character's name. You guys are going off on a whole fucking thing.
That's okay.
Give me a minute.
We're just filling the time.
Why can't defend the film if you guys are going off while I'm trying to look up things?
We're not even attacking it. We're just like, hey.
I said it's a bold choice. That is true. I mean, because like the first movie is such a traditional Western fantasy.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting to me that for the second movie, it was 2000. So
I was talking about the retard drug thing.
Oh, we'll get back to that.
I was just introducing that, so you take that.
Take that from the back here.
Main character's name is Joff.
That's right. Oh, yeah, he kind of looks like Joffrey. A little bit. It's a little bit. He's got that blonde hair, not curly.
Okay, so we start the film with Joff in the stables, and he's training to be a knight. His whole rig set up where he's training with it, and it's in the same castle as the first film.
Yes.
And it's one of the weird things where like there's just a king.
Yeah, somebody was picked.
Who knows who it is?
Yeah.
But to be fair, at the end of the first film, you don't quite know who. Like it says, Kara and Bowen ruled the land, but it's like, yeah, but like. Did they really like, or was it more of like they go sometime and they're like,
you have the summary there. How long is this after the first movie?
I don't have the summary.
He's got the IMDb.
I'll look up the summary.
I got IMDb.
I want to be accurate to what this is. Okay.
I'm just spinning my wheels.
So 1 year before his death, when he was an old ass man after ruling, then Bowen went and found the egg.
Okay. 1 year after Einon's death?
1 year before his death. So he was an old ass man.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he just happens to go check. He's like, I'm going to go check to see if there's anything, take care of things before I die.
Yeah.
And he finds the egg. And then...
So
20 years later.
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years later.
Okay. 19 years after he died.
No. 20 years after he died. Because 1 year before he died, he got the egg.
Right. And then we jump 20 years after he found the egg.
Well, it's 20 years after it hatches. So
sometime afterwards.
Yeah.
You're being a dick.
I'm being facetious, and then you guys were like, no, it's this.
You're being a dick.
Yeah.
I love it. Joff's training, and this film is very different because the first film is you got old ass Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
We got like, he's a man. Got David Thewlis.
Yeah.
We got Kara, who's a woman.
Yeah.
So and Brother Gilbert, and so it's all adults.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
This film introduces a trend that goes for the rest of the fucking series thus far, in having a young main character who's aspiring for great things.
Yeah.
Not always noble things, but great things. But great. Thank you for the T and great. And that's sort of like, it sort of becomes a coming of age series from this point on.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
This movie, out of all of them, feels the most like it's appealing to the younger demographic.
It's the most, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's we're going to sell this for the home video.
Yeah.
Parents will buy it so the kids will watch it and just, whatever. And so there's also a young monk character who, I think the whole film is talking about everything kind of like in past tense. He's sort of narrating for us.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
Looking back on his life, what's happened.
Yeah, it's kind of like if Gilbert was the narrator of the first movie.
Yeah.
Because it's all like that.
Yeah.
Because I believe at the very end we see, and his name is Mansell.
Mansell, yeah.
He at the very end he's like an old man.
Yeah.
And narrating, so that's the farthest in the timeline we go.
It's cool. And so basically what it is that he's been given a new task at the monastery, and this monastery is like they revere Brother Gilbert's works. It's gone on to like change everything about like because Bowen brought up back the old code and Brother Gilbert reformed. It's like they did everything for the better. Yeah.
The first movie impacted the plot of this one.
Yes.
Which is good.
It did.
It impacted the world.
Like literally. Yeah.
Yes.
And you can kind of tell because like he's a bit more like, because the kid in this film, Joff, is sort of like, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna do cool things and I'm very safe and happy in my life. And as we see in like the other films, like that are set before this, the world's a dangerous place.
Yeah.
So like clearly Bowen and whatever he did changed everything for the better.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Mansell, the monk guy, is like really excited and like, I got a new job, but I can't tell you, Joff, because they're kind of like friends because they're both like they're around the same age.
I can't tell you. Yeah.
Like he's a stable boy, he's like a monk's apprentice. It's nice. And then this running joke that I love where Joff's like, pride is one of those 7 deadly sins. And he's like, oh, you're right. Good hard work will help scrape away those sins. How about you clean the stable for me? Joff, you're right. Manual labor does clean the soul. And it's like I like that bit. It's pretty funny.
And he finds Drake down in the dungeon.
So eventually, while he's cleaning, he lifts the key.
Yeah, he takes the key. Yeah.
All of this is happening. Henry O comes around.
Yeah.
And who's known for films such as Rush Hour 3.
Yep.
2012.
Yep.
The disaster movie?
Yes.
Oh.
Cyber Wars.
Yep.
Shanghai Noon.
He was monk number 1 in 2 episodes of The Sopranos.
There we go.
But yes.
Well-known actor Henry O comes around with his... Now, from the get, I knew this was a chick.
100%.
100%.
Who is fooled by this?
I think that in the first 2 Dragonheart films, people have like something in the tragic prequels that we'll get to makes it so people don't like recognize people correctly or like can tell what people are.
Hey, listen. There's a difference between not recognizing a dragon after 12 years and not seeing someone's body like shape.
So this film does a bad job of establishing that in the monastery only men are allowed.
Yes.
They don't tell you this.
Yes.
Until after it becomes relevant.
Until after it becomes relevant.
Yes.
So when Henry O comes around with his assistant, whose name is Leanne.
Yes.
When they come around, they're basically talking to, because there's some sort of like comet happening.
Yeah.
Something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
They ask one of the friars. Okay, they're like talking to him, and they're like, "Yeah, there's this prophecy," and I have it here so that we can because it's a very like it's a prophecy. So the thing with prophecies, it's not exactly what you think it is.
Yeah,
which is kind of clever in this movie because basically the prophecy is a dragon's heart will doom mankind when a 2-tailed comet blazes across the night sky.
And guess what's happening?
Well, it's coming.
It's coming.
The comet.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's why boo? Explain your point.
I don't like the very deliberately like. I don't like that it is just vague enough so everyone's like, a Dragonheart, that means a dragon. And it's like,
but I think that's rather clever. Because that's one of the only things in this movie I think is extremely clever. It is the fact that you as an audience member assume that whoever this dragon shares their heart with is going to be the doom.
sure.
Because
And
the
then
first movie.
Because you don't realize that, there might be like another dragon.
Yeah, you don't think that.
So, from my point of view, that actually kind of works. Like, there's this interesting thing where the two, these two Chinese characters come with their prophecy and their shit, and they have like a withered old, like, evil dragon heart.
Yeah.
And they this is jumping ahead a little bit, but they test to see if Drake is going to give his heart to a bad person or if his heart is bad.
Yeah.
And so they almost kill him several times.
Because in the first film,
yeah,
we see like David Thewis's heart like being corrupted.
Yeah, and the thing is because the events of the first movie impacted this one so much, people know Einan was like this crazy dictator who had half of a dragon heart.
Yeah. So they all already have PTSD. They're already fucked.
Yeah.
But it's this cool thing where basically they're there to make sure like, hey, there's this prophecy. You know anything about dragons?
Yeah.
Can you help us? And they're like, what? No. And he's like, why do you have a dragon talon? He's like, Bowen, their old king, I was good friends with him. He gave me this. He used to be a dragon hunter. And he's like, and Rio was like, yeah, all right, okay.
he's like, that's sus. That's sus. Yeah.
And then Joff goes down into, so basically, because the point when he wants to get into the sewers or into the old dungeon area is not because of finding a dragon.
No.
He has dreams of being a knight.
Yeah.
And in there is like this like old some it is trash. He doesn't know that at the time, but it's just an old sword. Right. But he sees like the handle and the sword and it's underneath the thing and he's like, oh, like if I can get a sword I can actually train and practice and maybe I can become a knight and be famous. Oh yeah. Like Bowen. And then he steals the keys off of Mansell, gets in there, picks up the sword all triumphantly, and it's fucking broken. Broken straight sword. Yeah. He's like, shit. Hollow. Yeah. But then he hears some stuff, and so he goes further down, and we see some of the same sets from the first movie, from the underground area. Yeah. And he finds like an old, like a library, like being used, and it's like has stuff in it. And then he finds, Drake. This awful, terrible CGI monstrosity.
It's really bad.
It's the worst ever.
It's potato.
It's terrible.
Let me try to explain to you how visually it came across to me. So this is the highest quality version of the movie you can get. Because it's, Netflix. As far as we are aware.
It's Netflix, yeah.
It's Netflix. So they have like the highest quality. So imagine everything.
Right. I remember.
Everything is in like, let's say be generous. Let's just say 720p.
Sure.
But every time the dragon is on screen, a square around him becomes like 360p. You can literally see the grain. Yeah. As his model flies into the shot.
I bet you money is because they're able to upscale the negatives. Yeah. But they had to use a VHS strip for all the stuff with Drake.
I mean, you say that, but I think it might have always looked this disparate.
No. Because the actual film itself is okay. Because again, it's once they cut the Drake. I think it's they got the negatives, and then they're able to get that into a good quality. But all those actual special effects, because it was done for TV. Yeah, they didn't do the effects properly enough and have them stored well. So it's like, well, we can get everything else good, but like,
who knows?
That's my guess.
I'm just saying.
But even if
the first movie,
even if it was in as good film quality as the rest of it, it's still a poopy bad.
It makes the first movie look like the third movie.
Yeah,
it's that bad. It's really not good.
Are not wrong.
Again, and in this movie, the funny thing is that whereas Draco and Sean Connery were like the best part of the last movie, in this movie, Drake is kind of like doesn't do much for me. Oh, like he's okay.
I like Drake. So Drake's interesting for me because in the first film you have Sean Connery dragon. Yeah. Old, regal, Arthurian, Sean Connery dragon. I think this film's interesting because Sean Connery very much mimics Bowen. Where like he's of the old code, he's of the old guard, he's withered, he's a veteran, he's been around. Whereas in this film, you have Joff and Drake, and they're both like kids who don't know much. They've both been sheltered their whole lives. They've thought of bigger things, but they've never actually gone for it. Mm-hmm. So I think like it's cool because in this film the dragon's like a kid, like the main character, where they're both young, naive, they don't know much. Like, and this dragon even more so than the main character, because the main character's been out in the world a little bit. Like he's seen people, talked to people, he knows things. Yeah. Like Drake's been in this library just reading. That's all he does. He knows like 3 people. Yeah. So when Job comes around, he's like relatively nice to him. They latch together because it's like, oh hey, like, oh I don't have many friends. Mm-hmm. You'll be my friend.
And Drake was told about, his father and about the legacy of the dragon. So both of them are wanting to become something.
Yeah, because Joff wants to become Bowen. He wants to become Draco. They want to be something that they're not. They're both young. Yeah. And so a lot of this film, I feel like, is them kind of discovering themselves.
It's a lot of training sequences to get Drake's power, unlocked.
It's really cool to see this different take on the dragon, where it's like, oh, you're not like this old thing that knows everything. Like, you don't know how to fly. You don't know how to breathe fire.
That is one thing about Dragonheart 2 that I will give it. It is not a repeat of the first movie.
It's not.
It's like we're bringing in kung fu and doing all this like, ice breath and shit.
And the first film really impacts it. We're like, like the first film is the legends for this movie. Yeah. They want to be like that. They think of that stuff, and
I agree with what you're saying. I think that's a valid defense. I also will say, because I think you mentioned it, Nathan, is that a lot of that does kind of work, but there are points where it falls into the trap of a lot of those next gen stories. Like I'm looking at you, Boruto, and Legend of Korra, and all these shit where it's like, we're gonna be better than the previous generation. It's like, maybe hold your expectations to like it's not as good as God.
It's not better.
Like
it's not better.
They're literally like legends, like maybe like as good. Like I don't like you as much as them, so don't be telling me you're gonna be
not at all.
So there's a bit of that backlash on my end,
and I do like I like as Joff learns more about becoming a knight. There's like a scene or two of Drake like looking at old paintings of knights, like back when they like killed dragons. And he was like, hey, but then that's also mixed in with like him accidentally farting fire, and it's like,
not in the same scene.
Not in the same scene, but it's part of the.
You make that sound like it's the same
scene. It's not the same scene, but it is part of the same montage.
Yes.
Well, it's cool because Joff wants to be a great, powerful, famous knight, but also wants to be Drake's friend.
Yeah.
But he's clouded by his dreams and his aspirations, which I think is a good character flaw that's interestingly developed. Yeah. Because like he's not paying attention to Drake, and Drake's only had a book full of knights that are like stabbing and killing dragons.
Yeah.
And he's like, Joff, do you want to be like one of the knights in this book? And he's got the Joff and he's swinging the sword like, yeah, of course I do. And Drake's like,
yeah.
Yeah. And most of this film, you could say there's no plot. But I think the plot is developing like their relationship and then the fissure between those two of like Joff wants to become a knight, but he's forgetting his friends. Yeah. And the only reason why he's even like here training to be a knight is because he is friends with the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's forgetting his friends, he's forgetting about the people who brought him to this point.
Yeah.
And I think we need to talk about the bad guy for this movie.
Yeah. Interesting choice.
Osric. He's really interesting. So like when he first came up, and we had this old ass senile king like, my crumpets. Are you 12 o'clock?
The satire at work here was so good. Like this is one of the best parts of the movie because when they reveal eventually that the king is drugged, I'm like, I thought he was just gone. Yeah. I thought he was just senile, but like that's actually cool because it makes Osric's manipulations more like
and
his age.
In the whole movie they set up the fact that okay, time for your medicine, and you're like, and you think, oh, that's to keep him like sedated and not as crazy, but no, it's to keep him crazy.
It's to keep him gone.
Yeah. And so he comes up, and it's like everyone's like, oh, hey, it's Osric. He's so cool. I'm so happy he's the king's advisor now. And he's like, and now I will be giving. Hello, now that I'm your advisor, and I will be helping out the kingdom. I will give everybody a free tunic, and everyone's like,
right.
I like free things. And then like you find out the tunics are like. You have to wear it all the time.
Yeah.
This is not what you wear. and each tunic is resembles your status in society.
Right.
And it's like,
So we already start to see Osric's character is all about
and you're like,
classes.
Okay.
And Joff's still like hanging out with him, like, you're the coolest thing ever. And it's like, I don't know about this guy.
And he's so blinded by like, because what happens is, the dragon shows up, and they're all like, oh shit, what the fuck, a dragon? But they see that like Joff can talk to him and is his friend, and they're like, and then Osric's like, hey, like, you know, we can make this work. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, he sees an opportunity.
And then like, he's like, what do you want? And he's like, I'm gonna be a knight. He's like, all right, you're a squire now. You're a squire now. Be a knight. And it's like, oh, okay. And then like, they have this cool little like thing where like he spars with them.
Yeah.
And it's like he's testing him, and the whole while they're like talking about like being a knight and like all these, like, it's basically like Sidious leading Anakin to the dark side.
It does have shades of that. Mixed
with like also testing what his power is.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I know that's been troubling you.
There's also a cool scene where Joff's by like a river, and he finally has like a sword.
Right.
And then this asshole Roland comes around, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, you got a sword," and and Joff is all like, "Yeah, you know, so you want to spar?" And it's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And then like, you know, this Roland guy's like, "I'm gonna kick this guy's ass."
Yeah.
And they're sparring, and it's like, "Oh, he's pretty good," and his friends are laughing at him because this fucking little farm boy is getting like hits in on him. He's like a noble.
Yeah.
And like he breaks Joff's sword and kicks him into the river, and it's like, oh, okay. But then later when Joff's like has like a red tunic on now, and he's of the higher class.
Right, yeah.
Roland's like, you're just a peasant, and I was just like, he has a red tunic. He's the same status as you. You should have some respect. It's like, oh God, and it's like, are you? Oh, because he says everyone must speak the truth in my kingdom, or they get 10 lashes.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, he has a red tunic. Are you not speaking the truth? And Rowan's like,
no.
That's like, and it's like, oh, so he doesn't just oppress them, and that's when you're like, wait, he oppresses the nobility too.
Yeah, that's a very good thing, because you never know exactly what Osric's deal is until the very end of the movie.
When he's like, I'm above everyone, it's like, oh,
okay.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, because at first I'm like, oh, he just hates the peasants. And then that scene happens, and I'm like, something more is happening here in this movie.
And so, going back to that montage where they're kind of training to get Drake's powers, and he gets the ice breath.
He gets the ice breath.
Yeah, so...
And it's an ancient... And the cool thing is
it's
that,
a
like...
rare thing even for dragons.
It's a rare thing for dragons. And so what's happening is Henrio... And we haven't talked about this scene.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay,
that's
so
what I was leading.
We need to dial back and talk about Henrio.
Yeah.
So, and his assistant. So, early on, sorry. I talk all day. They're coming out of the meeting with the head of the monastery. Yeah. And Leanne sees Joff sneaking out of the sewers and is like, Joff's like, shh, and she's like, okay. Like, that's fine. And then later on, like, he finds out, like, I think does she take off like her hat or something and shows her long hair?
Yeah, she takes off this cap. She has like this big fluffy furry
and
cap.
Then he's like, whoa,
she's a woman.
You're a girl. You can't be here. It's a monastery. Only guys can be here. And I didn't see this movie with you two. Right. But I think we all at the same time kind of went, wait,
we were like, that was supposed to be a twist? I was like, I thought just because they were ambassadors, they didn't care. Yeah. But no, it's apparently a huge deal at all. But
they said that it's a problem after it's already been like, it's already happened.
It's a very bizarre thing.
It's really weird. It's bad.
It's basically if you took, because like in the opening of Dragonheart 1, Ein entangles with Kara, and we don't know immediately that it's a woman. But then it's resolved, like we find out 5 seconds later. But this movie's like, what if we introduced Kara, and then 30 minutes later, we were like, that's actually a woman. It's like, I know. I know. So, yeah, we get that, and this is where we...
And listen, before someone sounds off in the comments like, oh, did you assume gender? It's fucking 2000, and a film set in, like, 14, 15.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. No, I mean,
shut the fuck
hey,
up.
I don't think that needs to be said, but I think it's probably a good idea, just in case. Because when I said, like, well, you can see the body type, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But anyway,
after, I mean, I hope we don't have those kind of people watching our shows.
Yeah.
Actually, if we do, please share it with your friends.
Yeah,
no PR is bad PR.
Yeah, everyone, if we're a bunch of sexist, phobic people, let us know in the comments. Really
bumps up that algorithm. Gotta get those numbers way up.
And we'll learn.
And we'll learn our
teach
lesson.
us, please.
But after this, we learn, like, okay, what these guys are doing here. What is Henrio and Leon doing here?
Yeah.
Like, why are they monitoring? Why do they care if Drake's evil or not? Like, and then so they got their heart, and they basically say, okay, over in China, there was like this whole group of dragons that was helping us.
Yeah.
And then one of them, Galbatorix, and then one of them, Griffin, betrayed the Dragon's Code of Honor and just fucking killed humans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's implied he killed other dragons.
Yeah.
Like, based on how willing he is
He's
to.
evil as shit.
Yeah,
He's very
evil.
evil. And all we know...
And not only that, is that's the heart they have.
That's the heart they have, is they have Griffin's heart. And all we know is that these virtuous dragons beat him eventually and, like, sealed his heart, or they killed him and took his heart or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're kind of going like, okay, so there's an evil dragon somewhat at work. We don't know if he's alive, but we know the influence of the evil dragon.
And so to prevent any other further evil dragons, what they're doing is they're basically killing dragons.
Yeah, any dragons that go astray or try to or make a mistake close to what Draco did in the first movie, they will fucking kill it.
It's very much kind of like the mindset Batman has in BVS, where it's like even a 1% chance.
Yeah, there's even a 1% chance this dragon is our enemy. We have to take it as absolute certainty, and we have to destroy him.
Yeah,
and so basically they have this whole big contraption shut up where it's like, hey, like, you're a young dragon, you don't know the ways. I'm Henrio, I'm old as fuck. I know all the secrets of the dragons.
Yeah.
So if you put your hand on this heart, or on this box, and open up your heart to this contraption, we will show you, like, the truth of, like, what it is to be a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
All the while Leanne's inside the thing, in where the opening is, with a crossbow, ready to fucking kill it.
Yeah, which I thought was a very good scene, because I'm immediately like, I don't know what these guys want or what they're doing.
Because the film, you're kind of like, you're unsure if they're good or bad. Because also what's happening is Osric is manipulating people, being like, look at how different they are from us. You can't trust them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh God.
And this leads into this moment where, so basically Osric's like, we're gonna go fight some rebels.
So not only that, so the whole film, they've been talking about these rebels.
Yeah.
I forget their name. It starts with a T. They've been talking about let's call them rebels. It's easier. It's like in Star Wars, just call them rebels.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, like, there's a scene where, like, Roland, it's in that same scene where Roland's like, yes, I killed, like, blah, blah, of the rebels, and, you know, it was very hard, and blah, blah, and, like, and you're hearing all about, like, the raids and the attacks, but we never see it.
Yeah.
No.
We never, in the first Dragonheart film, like, there's an enemy, we see the enemy.
Yeah.
This film, they talk about the enemy, and it's like, but they're not showing up.
They're not really doing anything.
They're not doing anything, and so what happens is, like, are you talking about the scene where they go and
where Osric gets wounded?
Yeah. So what's happened is Osric brings Joff and Drake and some of his and a bit of an army to check out this attacked area, and they get there, everything's all fucked, and I'm like, I was already starting to suspect that these guys weren't real.
Right.
And they get there, and I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens here. Then, like, all of a sudden, like, some of the dead guys stand up. Right. And it's like, oh, sneak attack! And then they're all getting hit. And then I'm watching the fight scene, and I'm like, is this just bad choreography that none of the guys are getting stabbed?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a TV movie, and Drake looks like shit, and they got kung fu, and it's like, and I'm like, no one's getting stabbed, no one's getting hurt. Like Osric, the advisor, is like with Joff the whole time. Yeah. And he's like not really letting him like get any hits in. Yeah. And it's like, okay.
But it's kind of because he's a squire.
Yeah.
And so if I don't go into battle,
and he keeps like saving him, and it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then like he gets injured. Like Osric gets legit injured.
He gets shot by him
at the end when they all take care of all the bad guys.
Yeah.
And he's dying, and he's like, Drake, I'm dying. You must share your heart with me. And Drake's like, I've heard about this. 'Cause he's like,
he's just a kid.
He's like a 5-year-old. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What? I'm so confused. And then they kind of like cut onto the ruse of like, wait a minute. Because like Osric then gets more like pleady and a bit like demanding, like, give me the heart. And it's like,
sus.
That's really weird.
And then Joff checks him and is like, you just got like nicked, dude. Not even a big deal. What are you talking about? And he's like, oh shit, they know what's going on.
And then all the guys that got killed stand up. And then it's like, oh, it's a fucking ruse.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then that's when we get the scene. I will have that heart tonight. And then that's when I had my Ratatouille flashback.
That's when you had it, yeah. And so apparently, after this, Drake masters his fire breathing. Not really the ice breath, just the fire breathing.
Also, so before all this, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So we see that like Henry O is teaching Drake stuff, and he's getting really buddy with Drake and Joff.
Drake and Josh.
I set it down, you pick it up, it's all good.
Go. There you go.
And he's like, you must bring me. So they're not leaving. The fucking Chinese people.
They keep, Osric and the authorities keep trying to say like, okay, like you need to get out of here. You need to leave.
I'm like, what?
You're foreigners.
Yeah, go away.
Yeah.
And they're not leaving. So he's like, all right, this old Henry O knows something. Right. I want you to capture him and bring him here so we can take care of him forever.
Yeah.
And then what happens is during this scene where they're by the lake and they're testing the ice breath.
Right.
Basically, it's like a snot thing.
Yeah.
Well, in the first two movies, they only breathe fire through their nostrils.
Yeah. It's really different.
And then in all the prequels, they breathe fire out of their mouths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yep. Huh. I remembered that.
Yeah. And so like he snots out and he doesn't quite do it right and it just dribbles onto the monk. Yeah. He's like, fuck.
Yeah.
And it's like gross, practical, like Nickelodeon slime. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
And so then Henry O gives him his cloak.
Yeah.
Because, his is all fucked up from the dragon goop.
Yeah.
And he's walking, Joff says some really insensitive shit because he's a prideful asshole who's like, oh, look at me, I'm a knight now. Yeah. He's like, you've forgotten the face of your father.
Yeah. You've forgotten the face of your father.
And then he leaves with the Chinaman cloak, and then a bunch of guys see him walking down the road, and they're like, hey, it's him! We're sent here to capture him, we're going to take him away. And I'm like, you didn't check him?
But he's not, alright.
You didn't check, make sure.
It's fine.
And more so in the first movie, Joff has like a romance with Leanne. And I totally feel like this movie was written by someone who wanted his Asian girlfriend to see in the Dragonheart universe. Like, it is dripping off
her the badass Asian OC girl.
She saves him.
And she's totally really in love with him. And it's like, I feel like this is fan fiction for someone who loved Dragonheart.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he brings them to the monk to the castle.
Yeah.
And that's when we kind of get the reveal that, the king's actually fine.
Yeah.
But this thing that he's been taking the whole movie has been drugging him.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit. And so he gives it to the monk and he's like, all right, well, send him to the dungeons.
Mm-hmm. He's just gacked out of his fucking mind.
Rot. And so the idea is that they presented is that this drug makes you gacked.
Yeah. It gacks you
for X amount of time, which is why the king always needs his dosage on time.
Yeah. I think they imply like maybe, I don't know. I'd have to go check the times of day that they show.
I think they set it up well enough so that by the end of the movie, when the king recovers pretty fast, it makes sense that like, since like it had to happen.
Yeah. No, that was fine.
Yeah.
I bought that.
Yeah, so that's good. Yeah. And I'm glad they set that up, so it's not like...
that was actually pretty well done.
Because it would have been bad if it was like... If they never had those scenes establishing that, then at the end it's like, I'm fine now to say the thing.
It was actually just a drug. I was like, fuck you.
It's like, fuck you. I was like, no. We set up like 3 different times.
And we get this series of events where... Master Quan, who is Henrio, he's basically like, okay, like, I know who you are. I know what's going on. I'm like, I got, like, this is your heart right here. And you're like, oh, shit! and Osric throws a knife, and it's gonna hit Leanne, and it hits Master Quan. It's like the dramatic death of the movie.
Yeah, that's sad.
The mentor figure who
poor
dies.
Henrio.
Poor Henrio.
Who fought with a Chinese umbrella, which is...
Well, Sean Connery.
What?
Indiana Jones 3 fought an umbrella.
I suddenly remembered my Charlemagne.
But hey, it's an umbrella. Yeah, a needle at the front though. Sometimes got poke.
Yeah, poke. That's a thing.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
And martial arts people.
that's a penguin.
The kung fu in this movie looks good.
It's Henrio. It's cool.
I was just baffled that it was in the movie.
It was weird.
It was weird.
And then I got used to it after a while because I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
See, I got used to it, and then when they opened up their Chinese armory, I was like, whoa.
No, okay. Listen, so the Chinese armory thing, they set it up early. Like, oh, don't touch the ram's head.
Shit,
Yeah.
that's right.
Don't touch the ram's head. It's bad luck. And he's like,
okay.
you're a weird fucking Asian. Sure, I trust that.
But the weird thing is it's popped out. And
they don't fucking use it.
And the thing is it's popped out, and then when the time comes to open it, you have to pop it out. And it's like, why wasn't it seen in the first... Oh, God. It made me so angry.
Yeah.
I was like, why did they do it? It's so...
continuity.
Fuck me.
Like, all you had to do was if you filmed it and you're like... I don't know what order they filmed it, but if you film one and it's popped out, then you do the opposite when it's... Oh, God.
See, it's like how in Halloween, when they shot it out of order, John Carpenter had like a chart for Jamie Lee Curtis where it was like, okay, we're at this part of the movie, this is how scared you need to be.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But after this, we basically get this reveal where Joff and Drake arrive, and the comet's coming. And Osric's like, okay, I'm Griffin. That's my heart.
Yeah.
And at some point during the film, by the way, there's a great bit where I think it's isn't it Henrio and Leanne get arrested?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they go down to the dungeons, and the monk is gacked as shit, and he's in his loincloth, and he's just like... He's fucking Ratman from Portal 2. He's just gone.
He's not in a good place.
No,
he's
and then here we have the further thing where Leanne's actually a woman because like they bring him down. They don't like.
Yeah.
They don't search him because and I know they didn't search him.
Yeah.
They didn't search Leanne. Do you want to know why? Because the moment they did, they'd be like, "Oh, tits."
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's the
so
thing.
They didn't search him. They sent him down there. Then after a while, they kind of figure out, oh God, he's like the king. Oh no, the king's fine. We have to.
Yeah.
Oh God. And so then, Leanne starts singing, and the guard comes down, and Leanne is like out of her like typical attire, and it's all like a fucking like.
I'm a sexy,
but like, I'm gonna say it.
No, what do you?
It's fetishistic because she's like wearing all white. She has like the long hair. She's all like, I'm a naive Asian from Korea during the Vietnam War. Please fuck me.
It's some geisha imagery.
Some?
I'm being generous. You're the one defending Dragonheart 2.
Not the whole thing. I'm just saying it's a fine movie. I'm not saying it's high art.
No, I know.
My defense of Dragonheart 2 was it's not as bad as you're saying that it is.
It's the worst Dragonheart.
It's the worst Dragonheart movie.
Okay, good.
I'm not.
I wasn't sure you would defend that, but I'm just saying.
No. This film has bad parts of it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, as you said really early on, it doesn't destroy the whole series. It's just like, it's like Mission Impossible 2. Like, that one wasn't as good. It has some fun elements, and overall...
Because Mission Impossible 2 doesn't destroy the rest of the series by any means.
Yeah. And it's like Dragonheart 3. It's like, that has weird stuff in it, and you went in a weird direction. And like, I don't like all your choices, and all the things... Not everything is good, but like, I enjoy aspects, and I don't want to shoot myself in the face while I watch this movie, so...
It's like Quantum of Solace.
I don't know what that means.
A little bit. I'll give that to you.
Where it's the
and pray we never get the specter of the series.
Where it's at the worst, it's the ignorable sequel.
Yeah,
sure.
That was my whole argument.
But we get this lore where Griffin's like, hey, these dragons basically force me into a human form.
The form I hate most.
The form I hate most because I fucking hate humans. You are a degenerate life form that I need to rule over.
Which is why he hates both peasants and nobles.
And dragons. He hates everyone. He hates everybody.
It's so good. So like, I think Osric's a great villain. Because, like,
Yeah.
he's just, like, such a fucking manipulative, evil dick.
And he gets his heart back, and he
Yes.
becomes his dragon form. And I will
And
say,
it's got the Fu Manchu.
it's got the Fu Manchu, but I was totally wanting it to be like a full serpentine dragon.
Yeah,
Like if it had been full
hoping.
Chinese style dragon, I'd been like,
Hey,
but it did have the Fu Manchu.
hey guys, right in the prequel movies. I'm just saying.
Yeah, retcon Griffin's appearance so that he's a pure Chinese
American Dragon Jake Long that shit.
Well, no, but originally he was.
That's what I'm saying. Because they changed him.
He turns.
He gets it.
I do get it.
Yeah, he gets it. He gets it.
And then,
But don't change the art style to be worse.
and then we have potentially the shortest dragon on dragon fight I've ever fucking
Oh
seen.
god, it's like
Yeah.
20 seconds.
Where it's like, oh
Yeah.
shit, they're taken to the sky, and he's back down, and he's dead, and he's
Because in this scene, Drake uses his ice breath.
Yeah.
And then it's basically the end of Iron Man where it's like, did you figure out the icing problem? And then
Icing
Griffin's
problem.
like, and then Griffin gets frozen. He's like, icing problem. And then he falls and just fucking explodes and dies. He shatters. Like, ice breath is bullshit.
yeah, take that prophecy.
Take that prophecy.
you.
He's literally like the embodiment of Doomsday, and Drake with ice breath one-shots him.
Yeah.
Effectively.
It's like
Yeah.
Superman and Darkseid in Smallville. He just has to fly through him.
I've never seen Smallville.
It's bad. Well, it's
That part's bad.
That part's
I
bad.
saw the last episode with you guys.
Oof.
Some of it.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I'm
That's-
sorry.
that's-
I had fun.
It's not
Well,
indicative.
good.
Well,
I had no
it-
context. I had a great time.
We're watching through the whole series.
we're 2 episodes in, baby.
Well,
Oh, you too. Okay, thank God.
I mean, if you don't,
No.
all
We
right.
can catch up. We can,
We can
watch
wait.
those first 2. I think.
No, we got to finish other things. But anyway, but basically, so
If no one saw, I prison shined Nathan a couple times.
Yeah, it was actually terrifying because I was starting to turn away.
and we get this bit where Griffin's like
Like a prison.
Drake, join me, and together we will rule the galaxy as father and son. And Drake's like, you're a bad person. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah,
Because Drake is so just like innocent. He's like, no.
Drake's,
No, that
Drake's
would-
just a good boy.
Like,
that would mean I'd be a bad person. I'm not a bad person.
that'd
You
be
are.
mean.
That'd
And
be
I don't
mean.
want to be mean.
And I don't want to be mean. And it's like, that's
Oh,
valid.
fuck, you're right.
Yeah, the Wikipedia
You die now.
The Wikipedia article literally says after a short but fierce dragon fight. So they too agree that this is a very truncated affair. So the fate of the world is decided in about 20 seconds, and then
It's pretty dope.
yeah, Griffin dies, and then
Good.
Joff gets hit by like a piece of ice in his heart.
And again,
Yeah.
Dragonheart doesn't like its main characters.
No,
Fuck them. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you trip? I'm sorry. Did the bris hit you?
Yeah,
and he offers him part of his heart, and he gets to be a part of the constellation now.
we assume. No,
Oh,
It,
you're right.
it says it.
gotta wait. Well, that's
Oh, when they do
presumptuous.
Dragonheart 12, when we get the
When-
final
once
we get
they-
the final Drake story.
Once they finally once they finally bite the bullet and redo the first one, and then they bite the bullet again and redo the second one.
Hey, I'm just saying the prequels have now gotten farther east, so we just got to keep going east, do a whole trilogy based on Griffin. And
We're in
then we
Wallachia. We just gotta
can keep going, do a trilogy about Griffin, then remake the first movie, and then I'm just saying, okay.
There we go.
And then so basically it's like, hey,
Honestly, at this point, I just want a Dragonheart show by these people.
that'd be good.
That'd be good.
The old code is
The
like
old code.
it's restored.
It's back again.
Again!
And then Mansell
Thank
gets full guardianship of Brother Gilbert's materials and scrolls
Mm-hmm.
and shit.
Oh yeah.
And he carries on his legacy and
Oh, because also we didn't mention that
yeah.
Drake early on in the film suffers a major loss where the main father taking care of him gets mysteriously killed.
Oh,
He just dies.
He just dies.
He died some time in the night.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I never got to say goodbye. And it's like,
That's right.
And he's like, Joff, what does dead mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
fuck!
Yeah.
He's my boy! That was, I mean, the scene that endeared me to Drake was like, oh shit, you are really just a child in like a giant, scary reptile body.
Yeah.
So
I'm so sorry.
So that's Dragonheart: A New Beginning.
And I think that's also the end of our first video.
Yeah. I think so.
I think that
We've done a chunky
We'll reboot with the reboots.
yes. So let's talk about the first 2 films of Microcosm because
because it was this was it.
This
for
was it.
Many years.
For 12, 13, 15
yeah,
years.
because 2000 to
2015 is
So yeah, so for 15 years,
this was it.
this series this was it.
As a Dragonheart fan.
I was a Dragonheart fan
Yeah.
for 15 years.
And then someone loved it enough to bring it back.
So before we talk about those films, so these first two movies, let's kind of cap this off and wrap up.
I think Dragonheart 1 is it's not the best 80s fantasy you could watch.
No.
But it does have heart.
Yeah. Dragonheart.
But
I really hope every time we do that, it's just cut off midway through.
Yeah.
Well,
And then just like right back to normal conversation.
It's got a good score. It's got some good acting. It's got some hammy acting when it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of it's like bad, really. There's some inconsistencies, there's some flaws, but overall I give Dragonheart 1 a seal of approval.
And that they both have like solid plots.
I definitely came around.
Not the best.
I came around more on the subtleties in part 2. Now that you talked about, I think my biggest problem with 2 is that all the stuff we were talking about, well, not all of it, but I think like the stuff that doesn't involve, well, no, because even the Osric Joff stuff is not bad.
It's not
it's pretty good.
Like the leading him into deception and like showing him like. Which is all to ultimately get to Drake to get the heart.
Yeah, I think it's a more childish film.
It is, no, completely, yeah.
It's definitely more of a fan fiction sequel to the first film with kung fu and
this is a film where like, I would
and
show my kid.
You show them this one first.
And then later on, like when they're like 13, I'm like, all right, now we're going to go through Dragonheart, all like 15 films, now that you're old enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I would say I'd give the first movie B-, C+. I think that is mostly just execution. Because the concept is solid, but there's a lot of ham and cheese in the performance where they could be completely compelling.
And when I started the movie, I didn't know that like the middle half of the film would be like a con job.
Yeah,
it's a comedy,
and I'm like, wow, like they're basically robbing people, they're lying to people. I thought this would be like a grand epic adventure, but it's two dudes just like putting on an act.
I mean, that's the thing is Dragonheart 1, especially with like the stuff they cut out, it does have this weird thing where it's half epic fantasy and half like comedy.
Yeah.
And the second movie is definitely like half like kids fantasy kung fu movie and half like a really interesting analysis of power.
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, interesting.
Dragonheart's always trying to do something and say something. It's really cool. Even when they're not saying it the best they could.
That's the thing about 2. Is like the rest of the movies are so good about portraying those deeper themes in what is ostensibly a silly dragon fantasy film. It is pretty good.
Like I would like to see a solid remake of 2 where you like really give it like the care it deserves.
Yeah, because it's the shortest one. It's like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, and you feel it because when that dragon fight lasts 20 seconds, you're like, oh wait, we're ending.
Yeah, it's done. Like I thought we were gonna get a whole 20 minutes with him as the dragon, Griffin. But I was like, Griffin's gonna rule as the Dragon Lord for a while. No, he just dies.
So the people doing the series could easily get to 2 and redo it.
If they want to. I mean,
and I think they do a good job at it. Because the concept and like the outline, while it's not like the best thing ever, can really be heavily improved on and restructured and done well.
I mean, so far, nothing in the following 3 films has discounted 2. If anything, the 5th movie strengthened the existence of 2 because of the ice breath.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but they say that females have ice breath.
No.
Is that not?
No, they don't.
She just has.
No, all that it implies is maybe females have ice breath more commonly.
The only thing they directly say, according to Gender with Dragons in the 5th movie, and I know we're skipping ahead, is that males can turn into rocks or water.
Yes.
Right.
Female dragons can turn into animals.
Yes.
That is the only difference they talk about.
What I read on the wiki is that according to the original continuity, and as far as we know from the prequels, it's all one continuity. From what they said is that the female dragon Bowen killed had ice breath. Because I don't think we see it breathe fire.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, but again, in this movie, Drake does both.
Maybe what they're saying is ice breath comes more naturally to women.
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, sure, and then they could change that over time, like Drake. I mean, again, like if Draco, I mean, they're very vague. We assume the egg in this movie is the mating of Draco and the other female dragon. But for all we know, Draco, I mean, because in the prequels, the male quote unquote dragons show up with eggs. So
Yeah.
we don't know how their biology works exactly. So there's wiggle room. But I would say yeah.
But yeah, so B- on Dragonheart 1. I'd say like C- on 2. I still don't like it that much.
Yeah.
But
No, it's aight.
It's not one I would rewatch as much.
No.
But I don't think it ruins the series, and I think
that if
you power through it, you will be rewarded.
if you're having a Dragonheart marathon, choose when you get up and make some food.
Yeah, I agree.
Choose when it's like, all right, we got through the first one, getting kind of hungry. It's on. We're having a good time still, but like,
and it's short.
It's short.
You know, it's not bad.
It's fine.
Yeah. And that's the first 2 Dragonheart films.
Yeah, I think this is a good start to our discussion about Dragonheart.
I do too.
This is a fun time. Dragonheart movies are good, and these first 2 are really interesting because it is that like that 80s 90s fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to see like how the first film impacts the second film, how like things matter from 1 to 2. It is interesting to see that like it's sort of like it has the same like locations and sets, and like it really everything does feel like it mattered.
And I'm glad that after 2 they decided to go back rather than forward.
Yeah,
because I definitely didn't want another like. And there's another egg with another. You know, I was glad that they gave that one mulligan. Like there's an egg, and then there's Griffin, and then you get the second movie, and then afterwards they're like, we're gonna go back and explore like before they all got wiped out.
Yeah. But I like Dragonheart, and these first 2 are not my favorites of the series.
They're not.
But I think they're really good. I think that I wish I had seen them when I was a kid. Personally,
I saw the first one when I was a kid, but. Again, I went through different phases over how I felt about it, so. But it stuck in my mind, so.
Any final notes, Dad?
No.
Sweet. Thanks everybody for watching the video. Thanks for joining us on the Escape Pod. Stick around or look out for part 2 of this, where we talk about the next 3 films.
Yeah.
The prequel trilogy
Until the next one.
Then we'll figure it out from there.
And then from there we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I've been Sal.
I've been Josiah.
And I've been Nathan.
And like, comment, subscribe what you want if you like this video, if you want us, what other stuff you want us to cover in the future, what other series you want us to cover, anything weird.
We'll cover like almost anything, especially if it's not as well known.
Obscure weird stuff, the better. We want to like...
we did the Doom duology, which... Man.
Fuck me. Fuck me.
Yeah.
We did do that, didn't we?
We did. The second movie's almost completely gone. From my mind.
Yeah.
It was gone when I watched it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching.
Have a great day.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, you too. Na na.